Uzi Breier joins us now via Skype from Israel to discuss Dotz Nano. Uzi, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Danielle, and thanks for having me today.
It's our absolute pleasure, Uzi. Please, can you tell me and the audience all about Dotz Nano?
Yeah, sure. Dotz Nano is actually an Australian-listed technology company. We develop advanced materials, actually molecular materials, that we use for product marking, tracing, anti-counterfeiting, and authentication solutions. Plus, we have a line of detectors, so we actually provide an end-to-end solution.
So Uzi, Australian investors possibly are not the most aware of nano advanced materials. Why don't we talk about each of your segments in turn, shall we? Let's start with tagging and tracing. What can you tell me about your operations in this area?
Okay, here we focus predominantly on fracking. And fracking is a fascinating area because it involves a lot of dollars. It's actually short for hydraulic fracturing. And this is where you take some water with sand and chemicals and you pump it into a well. And here there's a need to trace the fluids as they come back from the different segments. You drill first vertically and then horizontally with multiple segments. And the ability to trace what's coming from each segment is critical. Now here we have a unique advantage. We have our materials sustain high pressure, high temperature, and do not observe in the rock formation. Moreover, we're able with our unique detector to detect them coming back instantly online, while all the other materials in the market takes about 3 days to a week in the laboratory to be separated and then identified. That holds a great advantage to the customer as they do have the machinery on site, and when they get the answer instantly, they can identify, for instance, if a specific segment is blocked and immediately open it on the spot.
And what about in your anti-counterfeiting and authentication area? What are the products that you have there and how do they work?
Okay. So again, these unique materials are used also for anti-counterfeiting. This is a huge problem in the world today. Anti-counterfeiting or counterfeiting is worth today estimated at $2.2 trillion annually. So everything is being counterfeited. We all know it, clothes, watches, everything, cigarettes, perfumes. And what we can do is we can label, we can tag the boxes of perfumes, cigarettes, drugs, pharmaceutical. You know, about 1 million people die every year around the globe from consuming counterfeited drugs. Viagra is one example, but many others. And we have a unique methodology where we can penetrate into the ink that mark the box, hence it cannot be really reverse engineered. So we have a unique way to tag those boxes and hopefully prevent some of this terrible disease, I may say, of counterfeiting around the globe.
And Uzi, how about product liability? How does Dotz Nano company help there?
Okay, again, we have a line of materials that can penetrate into lubricants, into oils. So we have water-based materials and oil-based materials. So these materials can penetrate into the actual lubricant and without changing the viscosity or other properties. And we can serve as we're actually an insurance policy to the customer because these customers give some liability to their customers so the machinery or the engine or what have you will work properly for years. So now if they are being counterfeited or even diluted with other cheaper materials, they may be liable and be sued in the court of law. And if they have our material, they can come and say, hey, our material was diluted by 32%, hence we're not liable, and they can avoid charges of millions of dollars.
So Uzi, I understand there's really a wide range of applications for the technologies created by Dotz Nano. Can we talk more broadly about the platform? Tell me about nano advanced materials and why Dotz Nano is special in this space. How much of your technology is proprietary?
Okay. So first, the original technology came from laboratories in the US, Professor Tour Laboratory in Texas. But then we moved on and created our own slew of patents. We have our own IPR. And this technology actually in the world is being used today for displays, bioimaging, optoelectronics, and fluorescent markers. We actually explored all for the last 2 years, so we invested lots of time and money in research, and finally we realized that the fluorescent markers is the area where we want to focus. This is where we've identified mature markets, and our products are more mature, and this is where we focus. So we have those unique materials that has fluorescent photoluminescent properties, unique, and they're actually every particle is smaller than 1 nanometer. So it's very small, and they change their properties at this size. So we're able actually to use them, as I said earlier, as markers, tracers in different materials, in water-based, oil-based, etc. And I mentioned some of the segments that we're active in are making headway.
So Uzi, I do understand you've come out of a very intensive research and development phase, and now you're moving towards commercialization rapidly. Can you tell me about the growth drivers, how you will approach healthy revenues?
Right. So first, what we've after identifying the segments where we want to focus on, because focus is critical, as you know, they say focus, focus, focus is the 3 most important things. We chose to go to field trials. You know, these materials, this process, sales process, is a lengthy one, because you don't just ship the material to someone and they say, oh, well, lovely, these are fantastic materials, let's use them. They need to test them in the laboratories, then insert them into the materials that they're using, etc. So it's an iterative, lengthy process. We focused on, as I said, the marking boxes, and we have conducted a successful trial in China with a company called China Tobacco Company. Actually, their printing subsidiary, Xi. And there we were able to demonstrate how we penetrate into the actual ink where they mark their boxes. These guys produce about 6 billion cigarette boxes a year, and they are being counterfeited because the delta between the cheapest one and the most expensive one is about 100 folds. So we were able to demonstrate the fact that these markers are non-reverse engineered, and hopefully this will migrate eventually to significant business for us. At the same time, we've conducted a significant trial in the US, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where we used a fracking drilling well, and we marked the fluids, the fracking fluids, with our tagans. And again, it was successful, so we were able to demonstrate that indeed our materials sustained high pressure, high temperature, and did not observe the rock formation, and we were able to identify them immediately on the spot with our unique detector.
So moving forward, Uzi, what are some big announcements that your investors can expect in the near to medium term future?
Okay, I think the biggest target for the company right now is translate all of this research for the last 2 years and all of these successful trials, and there are some others that I didn't mention, of course, into business, into purchase orders. And I think the focus of the company is definitely on that at the moment. So everybody, technical and commercial staff, is focused on that. And I think what we need to do is really work with our customers, and we have identified the key customers that we want to focus on, and work with them, solve their issues, provide answers to their questions, and eventually come to the blessed purchase order. I think we're very close to it in many of these areas, and this will be, I think, the big message. Not the new research. We've done a lot of research. We have multiple patents. We have the technology. We have a great staff, fantastic laboratories here in Tel Aviv, in Israel, fantastic staff in Australia, in Melbourne. What we need now is to translate all of these into purchase orders in finite agreements with customers. And I think we're getting there. We've put the right platform, the right steps towards it, and this is hopefully will happen soon.
Well, Uzi, it was fantastic to put Dotz Nano under the microscope. Thanks for obliging me with your time and your insights.
Thank you very much, Danielle.